I know that there's a lot of people out there that are really worried about the looting that's been going on in America, and so I thought, you know what, we're gonna do some serious coverage of this looting and the toll that it has taken. And this information is coming from an Inspector General report that says that the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration for the IRS found that nearly 1 million high-income individuals who didn't file returns cumulatively failed to pay over $45 billion in taxes between 2014 and 2016, and that the agency hasn't tried to collect from many of those taxpayers. So I don't know exactly what that equals out to in terms of like watches or shoes or TVs or whatever, but $45 billion has been looted from the US government by extremely wealthy people protected by layers of lawyers, and the IRS, either because of a lack of interest or a lack of resources or both, has decided we're not even going to try to get that money back. That is some high quality looting right there.
Well, it doesn't count as looting if wealthy people do it because they do it in secrecy, and they're very sophisticated when they do it, and they're doing it motivated by greed. When you're poor, when you're black, when you're protesting inequality and you're motivated by anger towards the injustices that you face your entire life or your friends have, no, that counts as looting. So I would say that perhaps the millionaires and billionaires should get away with it, because as long as it's a number on a screen, people don't really care, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, if it's a product, I mean, then it's property, it's serious. If it's money that should have been available to the US government to pay for, you know, food stamps, infrastructure, God only knows what. Maybe we could have afforded some of the PPE and things like that. Maybe we could have fast-tracked those tests if we'd had that money. That's too hard. Let's not think about that.
And wasn't that supposed to trickle down on us? Wasn't it supposed to? I mean, right?
Theoretically, it trickled $45 billion less than it seemed like it should have. So here is how bad it actually was. So we talked about the raw numbers. The IRS didn't put 326,000 of the cases into its enforcement system, and it closed 42,000 of the cases without ever working on them. Hundreds of thousands of cases of huge quantities of money that are owed to the federal government didn't even get logged into the system. And tens of thousands, they were like, I just don't feel like it. We're done with that. You think they'd do that with you if you shoplifted some cereal or something? No, that's what they did. And I understand that some are going to say, you know, it's because, you know, there's huge budget cuts, 19% decline in collection staff, and that is certainly why mostly Republicans, not entirely, but mostly Republicans have been pushing for further and further cuts to the IRS in the last decade or two. But this is the result. You get to get away with cheating the government out of tax revenue. And that's when there actually are taxes. They've been cutting them and cutting them and cutting them. But even then, what remains, they don't necessarily pay.
Exactly. So we have corporate looting where Amazon doesn't pay any taxes whatsoever, and then you have rich person looting. But none of this gets attention from mainstream press because the images of poor or black people or protesters taking a TV out of a Target, that's going to scare people. That drives fear, and if it bleeds, it leads. And then, wow, your ratings are up. But when it comes to the actual millionaire, billionaire corporate overlords who are actually affecting your day-to-day, that's not as compelling and might actually offend our parent companies or our bosses.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.